Yeah, yeah, da, da, yeah, yeah. Oh, yo, yo. Anyway, live at a time to the top. Porsche, لو مش ناس عاملة ديستنس باش بشبط نقول Mashiach. Anyway, خبي شفاء coming up, خبي شفاء تلولا شا ربز خاي mushka. And مش خد ناشim تتكنيوت نجان ونجاو we see this all in with the conference shluchot chulu chulu chulu. So the whole inyan, Hashem took us out of the land of Mitzrayim. To come into the land of milk and honeys, everything's about the honeys. Chulu chulu chulu. So we know when someone came to the Rebbe and said, Rebbe, how great you are. He said, I have a great I am. How great is the Rebbe? It's in chulu chulu chulu. And we see this in the 22nd of Shvat, double. Yud and Yud Aleph Shvat chulu, which is the inyan of infinitely more, the inyan of Shechina chulu chulu chulu. So, a couple stories, story of the Rebbetzin. My grandfather worked for the Rebbe. And, the Rebbe took us, whatever the Rebbe told us to do, the Rebbe did these things, called them chulu chulu chulu. And so the Rebbe was making a loan for, how to put on tefillin. So my grandfather, worked for the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, okay, come, we're going to take pictures and teach people how to put tefillin on, then we're going to bring it to Manhattan, chulu chulu chulu, alone. And you see this in the Siddur, the first Siddur, Tehillat Hashem, chulu chulu chulu. So, the Rebbe took the tefillin of Rosh. You see in the picture, the first Tehillat Hashem is tefillin of Rosh, my grandfather, but the Rebbe concealed his face, so but I could see, has the same spikes as my hair, But you see the original pictures in Alon, you see it, chulu, chulu, chulu. But before they went, and they asked my grandfather, why not the hand? He took a Nissen Mendel down. He said, you're too skinny, you're skinny. But tefillin Rosh is my grandfather. But before they went, they passed by the Rebbe's house on President Street, and the Rebbetzin came out. And the Rebbetzin said, Koops, one day you're going to be famous. But it's known that the Rebbetzin would do had so much Avas Yisrael, from the king to the water carrier, And one time the Rebbetzin was met a friend in Crown Heights, and the friend asked the Rebbetzin, what was the greatest time in your life? And Rebbetzin answered, right here, right now with you. And this is the love, the angel of love. We have to learn from the Rebbetzin how to love one another. Chulu, how to have this obviously strong and beat the live. And we see with this week's parashas, the inyan of Am Echad V'Lev Echad, Am Echad V'Lev Echad, Chulu, Chulu, Chulu. So then we lift each other up, One time the inyan Mosifim Kol Ha'almin, because I was just, but Banante as how. It's the same question everybody has. How the mountain was shaking and we heard the thunder and the lightning, and we just came out from all the miracles of Yetzias Mitzrayim and the Makot al Mitzrayim and Tavuot Tam B'Yam Chulu Chulu Kit Yam. So how the hell how can anybody sin? So the only thing just to know is not the Inyan how could we sin, because my Yom Yom, the Yom Yom of Chafir that was born, says mitzvah brings a mitzvah and sin brings a sin. So Rav Raps talks about it on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, we read the sins of Chamor v'Yater. Was the worst sins we read about Yom Kippur. How can we read about the worst sins of Yom Kippur if when the highest elevated states were like an angel? Hashem wants us to know, don't trust yourself until today you die. Just because you think you're big tzaddik today, we don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. Even the story with the Kohen HaGadol. I went to the theater and heard the music. And felt the shayla chulu chulu chulu. So we have to understand. One day we're on the mountain, and the next day we're b'tachtoyna chulu chulu chulu. We have to know, just like Shlomo Melech says, this too shall pass. We know when we're low, so we always know when low we can go up high, and we know when we're high we can go down low. Chulu chulu chulu. With the holy nan, that each and every one, the difference between the otiyot of Shliach HaMashiach. The Lamed and the Mem is 10. Eser Kochot Neshamot, they were all Shlichim and Shluchot Shekut Shebrichu, that we know we lift one another up, and this is Amacha Levecha, no matter what, Ma'im Rabim Lo Chol Lechabot Ta'ava Nafshi Sheyesh Aleinu, Kut Shebrichu Aleinu, Chul. And this is the Inyan of Shliach HaMashiach. Mosifim kol ha'almin, that we ain't of love to Chad Hasheni, that we're always lifting one another up, so that we always have the king and the water carrier, and we're always coming closer to Kuchibrichu. We're always showing our ain't of love to Kuchibrichu, and this is the inyan. No matter what we've been through, and no matter what we all go through, we have this internal nitzchi of us and Kuchibrichu and the Gulish. This is the inyan of Matan Torah, is the Chatunah between us and Kuchibrichu, and they were always one with Kuchibrichu. They're always going to be one, always going to love them. And when we fall, no matter if we're the Kohen Gadol or the king and the water carrier, we'll lift one another up, because we're Am Echad V'Lev Echad. That inyan Gulash Shlem is a mitis. And we learned this from the Rebbetzin and the Nashim Tzidkanyot. And this the inyan of Gula Shlem is a mitis. This is Ki B'Simcha Teiteh V'Sham Tuv, this end of love that we have for Chad Hasheni Chul. Das Tidya V'Shtayz Tinyan. May God bless Kol HaBaruch L'Kol Am Yisrael. Also come serve Hashem so Shita Pula Beis Midrash Kohanim Levim Shem Beis Machas David Kabon Kedosh B'Kum Nacham Panim Menorah Kohanim Shem Beis Midrash Av Levod the Men Kol Am Yisrael Men Ken Yotzon the Mitzvah peace and love and peace. Yichya Melech Yichya Amakod, long live the sweet queens. Yeah, man, L'chaim, believe Rav Lev, Rav Lov, is soft and loving God, love one another, like Kuchibrichu loves us. L'chaim, Amayim, Chaim, the Baal Shem says we see water, we count the water, say, the Baal Shem says we see her, and count the water is, the Baal Shem says that water is, Sima Bracha, Kol HaBracha, L'Kol Am Yisrael. You man, Baruch Adonai Makalam Shakon Bevar. Yeah, never gets my Gulas. Mashiach here now. God bless him, man.